here. Oh yeah, she's showing off. She has the right. The rays reflect right off her, and she's blinding every side. She gives you're on fire, a whole new meaning between her and the crowd. There's sure no intervening. There she goes again. It's heating up again. She's leaving trails of fire, and it's never ending. Here she goes again. There ain't enough water in this world to put out the flame. Oh. Oh yeah! The whole team is aware of her special little stare. Even the most brave can't help but be a little scared. Ready and aim, throwing every single flame. When she's taken off, she's just a beast that nobody can tame. Challenger race, competition erase. Try to give it all you got, you'll still end up in second place. Oh, she gives you on fire, a whole new meaning between her and the crowd. There's sure no intervening, and no stopping her. Yeah! Oh, yeah! There she goes again. It's heating up again. She's leaving trails of fire, and it's never ending. Here she goes again. There ain't enough water in this world to put out the flame. Whoa. 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 Oh yeah. There she goes again. It's heating up again. She's leaving trails of fire, and it's never ending. There she goes again. Whoa.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I am your host, Winchester 572, and we are back with yet another fun, exciting, crazy stream. Just getting things dialed in here. There we go. I think things are mostly set, mostly right, but there, cool. Because the knobs on my Focusrite aren't exactly perfectly matched. So yeah, but no. Yes, we have a fun stream planned for you tonight. Apologize if any of the scenes and stuff look a tiny bit different than they used to. Pony Fest happened. And if you guys did not happen to see that, Force Rain did a concert. Well, knowing her and all of us, we couldn't just let it be any old average concert. So we literally turned my entire living room upside down and turned it into a concert venue. And yeah, but if you want to hear more about that and the exciting fun stuff, we uploaded the concert itself to our YouTube channel. So go to Forest Train Media on YouTube and find that. And then there's the after stream thing where we show you kind of all the behind the scenes stuff and do a little bit of a Q&A. So, but yes. Anyways, oh yeah, and the reason why it affects this is in the process, I didn't realize that you had to save scene groups separately from profiles in OBS, and so I deleted all of my Winchester Wednesday stuff. So I am currently flying by the seat of my pants. But I went and before stream, I took some time and rebuilt most of them, like our wonderful camera, our reading one, and stuff for games I just kind of add when we play the game. So, and this wonderful Be Right Back screen, which I haven't had to use in like forever. So, yeah. But that's what we have at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to bring us into the cool. I didn't mean to mute that one. I meant to unmute this chat,
Out
and
of
here we
10?
are in the call. Hi, Cole.
See, I'm just
Oh,
waiting
hi.
for Forest Rain's guitar to go twang and then be like, oh, Forest Rain broke a G string.
Brian.
Oh god.
That's it. That's all I got.
So anyways, yes. So starting off, we have my wonderful co-hosts, Crazy Matt Captain and Sky Rays.
Hello.
KFC is a weird flavor of Mountain Dew, and I'm not sure how I like it or not.
Yeah. Oh, quick note: I won't be participating in the stream any more than just this. Not feeling well today, so
He's gonna go keel over and maybe not die.
hopefully.
He's got the corona.
I've got the COVID. No, not yet.
Oh, just a
getting
matter of time, Corona.
It's just a matter of time. I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call when I'm on my deathbed.
And with his excellent timing and knowledge of the song, we have Double R Forest.
Hey guys, I won't even be participating in this reading until like the last 3 pages. Don't blame me. Blame my manager, Winchester.
I think I'm not even really talking till late in this.
And the person who starts talking for 6 pages ahead of anyone, Forest Rain.
Brian. Oh, I miss you.
May God have mercy on her voice.
Brian.
Press.
I love you. Shut up. I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Ryan.
Brian won't survive.
Brian. I'm giving you 5 seconds and I'm turning on the sprinklers.
Brian.
That's it.
And speaking of Brian, we have Lycan.
Yeah, I got some bad news. I got fired from the calendar factory. All I did was take a day off.
So
good.
The fact that it's crickets, except Ocean Breeze, just bursting out laughing makes it so much more satisfying.
Even Winchester knows it doesn't take much to get me to laugh.
It's a
Also,
groaner.
ask do the daring do. Ask do the daring do.
And our laughing hyena over here, we have Ocean Breeze.
Hi. Another day without money.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
Ocean Breeze accidentally broke her finger, but on the other hand, she's fine.
I was not expecting that.
You know, Ocean Breeze, when they say before a performance to break a leg, they don't mean literally.
I've only broken my leg in a motorcycle accident. Shut up.
No, don't worry. It was her left leg. She's all right now.
Hey, I was hit while riding my bike and I didn't break anything.
Oh, okay. He ain't wrong.
You're
It
supposed to
wasn't
break
my-
when you're on the bike. That's why you crashed into the wall.
Actually, I flipped it and landed in my field. Anyway,
Was it caught on camera? Because that sounds awesome.
All
no.
and neck and spit. I can't even transition here. We have Cinder.
Ooh, yay.
Cinder is absolutely on fire.
We did it. We broke her.
Cinder, you're not supposed to take your pills until after this stream is over.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. If you'll excuse me.
Well, Cinder, Winchester, we're gonna have to do something. We got to figure out something here. There's 3 parts, big parts here that we got to split amongst.
All right. since Cinder was like the main part of this story, readings canceled. Skyrays we're going up with the backup plan.
Wait, what? Why am I? Wait, what? Why am I important? I'm not supposed to be important.
Well, Winchester made you important.
You have like 3 major roles in this chapter. That's the reason why. Yeah.
Damn it, Winchester.
I asked Winchester. I volunteered to take one of them off, but he refused.
The answer is
Anyways,
to add fire.
I like to hide under my bed when mom and dad fight.
I like to get the gun.
did I hear the magic word?
That wasn't as good as the last few times.
Well, no,
Yeah.
this is
here now.
this isn't my shotgun. This is my lever action.
You've
my
always had a
shotgun's
lever
currently-
action.
Because my shotgun's in another room due to things.
I'm sorry.
at least
the
now we
shotgun
can-
is in another castle.
Yeah, did you have the shotgun upstairs?
Yes, I did. I was threatening people with it during.
I thought I heard you pull out the shotgun during that stream.
I never cocked it once.
I mentioned it.
Yes, you mentioned it.
I mean, at least no one can say that Winchester's half cocked.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Boo. Boo.
Shots fired?
Okay.
Or not?
But before this delves into absolute stupidity, which it kind of already has, let's get into the reading.
That's-
So, Forest Rain, go ahead and start us off.
Wow. Okay. So apparently we're doing Project Sunflower. Again, this is chapter 24, Reunions, and it's written by Hoopy McGee. And for this reading, we shall have. Why am I so bad at this right now? Okay. We got CMC reprising his role as Aaron, and he's also playing Brian. Double R is playing Twilight Sparkle. Cinder is playing Maggie Henson, Princess Luna, and Robert Thompson, presumably, as long as she doesn't pass out. Ocean is playing Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy. Lycan will be playing Pinkie Pie. Winchester is reprising his role as Malachite. And I shall be playing Princess Celestia, Rarity, and the narrator. And I just realized why things sound weird. Fix. Woo, I can hear myself now. Much better. Project Sunflower by Hoopy McGee. Chapter 24. Reunions. After him! Find him! Move in pairs to prevent him possessing any one of you. He fled through the underbrush, Celestia's voice ringing behind him. He was glad for the lack of a heart, as the panic he felt now would likely cause it to explode. Malachite knew Celestia of old, and he knew that she would never stop the search for him. It would be impossible to outrun the pursuit behind him. If the Earth Ponies didn't catch him, the Pegasi would. He'd surprised them and gotten a head start, but that wouldn't last him long. He had no choice but to hide. Fortunately, there was one thing he was very nearly certain that all ponies today had forgotten. Face sprites didn't need to breathe. He spent that first night hiding in a hollow log, half buried in the silt of a riverbed. When the sun rose on his first morning of freedom, he eased himself cautiously out of his hiding place. There were no signs of pursuit, but he wasn't foolish enough to be less than cautious. Moving as quickly as he dared, he kept to the shadowy underbrush as much as possible. He had a plan, devised during his last few days in the cave. It was foolish and beyond risky, but it was his best hope for a permanent escape. The humans were opening a portal to Equestria soon, a permanent one, and that would give him a whole world to hide in. A world with the fantastic devices that had so awed him. If he could somehow make his way through the gateway they were creating, he would be safe. Or rather, safer than he ever could be in Equestria. By the third day, the face sprites were starving. Malachite forced them to resort to cannibalism in order to survive. Slowly, the well-fed and, above all, obvious bulk of his swarm began to dwindle. It wasn't by much, but every little bit that he could do to make himself less conspicuous would help. On the evening of his third day of freedom, Malachite reached Canterlot itself. He waited until full nightfall before slipping quickly into a nearby storm drain. It was almost disappointingly easy to enter the city itself. The city had changed greatly from the last time he had seen it. The only real buildings at the time were the palace itself and a small inner city surrounded by a wall. Now, as he flowed under the streets in the dead of night, he saw that the city was immense, covering many times the ground that it had when he lived here. The inner wall was gone, and the architecture looked strange and wrong to him. The more militaristic look of the original towers and turrets, replaced by delicate spires and domes. His own family's manor house, where he'd spent the formative years of his life, was still there, though, nearly unrecognizable with a cheery new facade. He lingered outside his childhood home for a few minutes, wondering who lived there now, amused to think that they might be distantly related. Then he moved on, not caring to investigate any farther. That manor held no happy memories for him. He kept beneath the streets when he could, using the sewers to travel. When daylight came, he used rats to spy for him while he stayed hidden in the depths of the sewers. Very quickly, he found out where the gateway would be opened, in the gardens of Canterlot Castle itself. He released his spies, moving up into the garden. Hiding was easier than he'd hoped, the thick hedges of the maze providing plenty of cover. Still, he couldn't help but worry that he'd be discovered at any moment. After some time, a large group of ponies came out and stood in the grass, not too far from his hiding spot. There were unicorns aplenty, mostly looking old and feeble, but Malachite paid them almost no mind. Celestia was with them, and he regarded his former teacher with a feeling of melancholy and loss. Then he noticed another, smaller alicorn standing next to the princess, one who seemed oddly familiar. He was stunned to recognize the second alicorn as Luna, the younger sister of Celestia. Emotions churned within him as he watched the sisters chatting, talking as if nothing were wrong, as if it were completely normal and accepted that the creature who'd become Nightmare Moon was walking about in broad daylight. He stared at her, marking her face and features, taking her measure as best he could, viewing her in jealousy from beneath the hedges in the maze. Eventually, carriages arrived. The unicorns and the princess herself boarded and were carted away by strong-winged pegasi. Luna watched them go, then walked back into the palace. Time passed once again. After several hours, another group of unicorns walked into the gardens, forming a circle. Excitement bubbled in him. This was it. It had to be. Malachite watched hungrily as the unicorns, led by Luna, cast their spell. From his hiding place, he watched in awe as the gateway shimmered into existence and the first of the humans walked through. Ugly creatures, Malachite noted. Still, it hardly mattered what they looked like. What mattered was the gateway. He watched as brief pleasantries were exchanged, followed by Luna flying off. Many of the humans walked away, guided by various self-important government ponies. Several humans remained behind, bringing boxes and bags and chests through the gate, no doubt the belongings of the human ambassadors. When they began bringing back the empty luggage, he knew his chance had arrived. He flowed through the gardens, hiding in the hedges and bushes, moving only when no pony or human was looking. The empty luggage was stacked, temporarily, outside of the gateway, and Malachite took his chance. The humans themselves brought him into their world as he hid in an empty case that had once held some humans' belongings. After much jostling and rolling along the hallways, there was a long period of silence. When he judged it safe, he removed himself from the luggage and examined his surroundings, which seemed to be a bedroom. There was a vent on one wall, blowing warm air into the room. He quickly moved himself into it, glad to have found a perfect hiding place. From there, he once again found that magnificent machine he'd oh so briefly inhabited before. Moving into it, he started sifting gently through the information he found, though much of it made very little sense to him. And then he found mention of a project called Sunflower. He examined that quite thoroughly. Bubbling with excitement, he made his way to the Ascent Labs, discovering them abandoned. Moving cautiously and ready to flee at any time, he began instructing the computers to power on everything in the lab. The computers were a joy to work with, performing complex tasks with only minimal instruction from himself. He invaded and controlled the Ascent mainframe, searching until finding the specifications of Sunflower's body. Fascinating. They'd made her stronger, faster, and more resilient than any pony should be, at least without magic. However, they'd made several mistakes along the way, making assumptions that made the Sunflower body only superficially resemble that of a typical Earth pony. Drawing on his knowledge of pony biology, Malachite began making his own template. The humans had no idea how magic worked, of course. Thus, they made their spy an Earth pony. However, he knew quite well how unicorns, Pegasi, and Earth ponies utilized magic. He created the template from scratch, building and revising it over and over again until it was perfect. The whole while he was doing that, he was also perusing the compound's computer network, learning all he could about the humans and their world, and tapping into the security system to make sure he was unnoticed and to nullify the alarms that would have alerted the humans to his presence. Before the template was done, something amazing happened. Several ponies, two of whom Malachite recognized from the Everfree, and one of whom was Erin herself, came through the compound to test devices that, according to them, would store magical energy for them to use while on Earth. Now that was something to incorporate into his design. He studied them through the security cameras, quickly working out how the devices functioned. After several hours of work, he devised a way to replicate that function in a custom-made organ. Of course, there is no need for just one of them. The body he was designing had room for several. With the new additions, he finally instructed the machine to begin building his new body. The cafeteria had been cleared, except for some of the kitchen staff who were waiting in the back in case their guest had any other requests. Maggie had called Robert Thompson directly, and she'd been told to keep Malachite comfortable, concede to any reasonable demands, and to keep him under close observation. And, under no circumstances, was he to leave the compound. Thus, the presence of a dozen heavily armed U.S. Marines. Malachite was making a considerable mess on the table in the cafeteria. When Maggie had instructed that he was to be fed, the kitchens had brought him a huge salad and a punch bowl, pasta dishes, raw fruit and vegetables, crackers, various desserts, and assorted other foods. The dark green alicorn mowed through them as though he were starving.
This body was essentially created from nothing other than some raw organic material. It's not surprising that I'm famished.
He indicated his flowing tail with a gesture of his wing.
Not to mention that I keep my little pets here fed and healthy.
I understand.
Maggie felt as uneasy as the Marines surrounding the winged pony looked. Malachite grinned, then levitated the bottle of wine to his muzzle, drinking from it directly.
I have missed this. The simple pleasures of organic life. I think I understand now what Celestia meant about a living brain needing a living body. I do believe I would go mad if I had to give up these sensations once again.
That predisposes that you are not mad already.
The smooth voice came from the doorway. Maggie turned to see Princess Luna, flanked by a half-dozen royal guards, walking into the cafeteria.
Malachite, I presume.
Maggie stifled a groan. She definitely felt a headache coming on. The last thing she needed was for a conflict to arise. Who knew what would happen if two alicorns started fighting in the middle of the Harmonics compound? Malachite swiveled at the table, regarding the princess with a surprised look that quickly drained away to a look of cool contempt.
Ah, the wayward Princess Luna. I see I've heard quite a lot about you.
And you.
And what do I owe the pleasure of your company?
Maggie rarely noted that Malachite felt no qualms about showing a complete lack of respect to the princess before him.
We require that you return to Equestria with us.
Malachite tapped his hoof under his chin with an exaggerated imitation of consideration.
I'm afraid I'll have to decline your wondrously generous invitation, as I am having far too much fun here.
'Twas not an invitation. You will return with us to answer for your crimes.
Crimes? And just what crimes would those be?
Malachite's dangerous tone gave lie to the grin on his face.
You must ask? Very well. You assaulted many ponies, including royal guards and my sister Celestia, which is crime enough in itself. With the drones that you controlled, you kidnapped young Aaron in your quest to free yourself. Going back even further, you disregarded a royal command to halt your research into face sprites, instead merging yourself with them to become the monstrosity you are now.
Malachite shot to his hose, knocking over the table and sending food flying in all directions. Maggie shrunk back, getting as far away from the two equines as she could without actually leaving the cafeteria. The Marines backed away as well, though, judging by their expressions, it was to give them more room to use their rifles if needed. The Royal Guards lowered their heads menacingly, pointing their glowing horns at the Alicorn stallion. Luna merely regarded him calmly.
You dare call me a monster? You, who tore Equestria apart and plunged us back into the Dark Age! You, who have become darkness incarnate in order to bring eternal night! You dare call me a monster after what you did?
It is not for you to judge me, Malachite. I am a princess of Equestria, regardless of how you feel about the sins of my past. I'll have you understand.
Oh, I understand. I understand so much better than these fools who follow you today. Lest you forget. Luna, I was born a mere century after you became Nightmare Moon. I saw the scars of what you did to the heart of Equestria, and more. I saw what you did to Celestia herself, and the burden that you placed upon her soul, and the pain it caused her every single day. There is no penance for that, no absolution. I accept no judgment or authority from you.
The air hummed with tension as the two alicorns faced each other. Maggie was alarmed to note that Luna's formerly placid exterior had cracked slightly. Her mouth turned down at the corners, grief and fury both plainly visible in her eyes. It lasted only a moment before the princess regained her calm.
Will you return with us?
No.
And if we force the issue?
Then I will fight you, princess. And believe me when I tell you, on Earth, you will lose.
Luna regarded his form in an appraising fashion.
That remains to be seen. I can see that you are not a true alicorn.
No, of course I'm not. But I was a master biologist and a physician without peer in my day, and I knew enough to combine all the best traits of the three pony races into my current form. Not to mention, I have other advantages.
His dark green mane and tail spread out slightly, and several of the glowing lights detached themselves from the haze, blinking like toxic fireflies. The face sprites spread out slightly, drawing uneasy glances from the humans and ponies in the cafeteria.
I doubt that Celestia has taught you the spells to destroy a face sprite. Princess. Without it, you will be hard-pressed to avoid having every sentient being in this room turned against you. Even if you destroy this body, that would only be a slight inconvenience. I can easily live without it.
Luna looked briefly uncertain, glancing at her guards out of the corners of her eyes. Then she looked back to Malachite, her expression inscrutable. Maggie felt the tense seconds tick by, and then finally, Luna spoke again, this time addressing her guards.
Stand down.
The unicorns looked startled but relaxed their poses, allowing the glow on their horns to dim.
There will be no confrontation here, Malachite. 'Twould be unseemly to bring hostilities to a foreign nation, after all.
Maggie let out a sigh of relief at that, and the Marines relaxed slightly as well, though they remained alert. Luna turned and started walking away, her guards staring warily at the green alicorn in the cafeteria before they began following her.
Luna?
The princess stopped, then looked back over her shoulder at him. Malachite continued, grudgingly, obviously not eager to talk to her.
How is she?
Celestia?
Luna blinked in surprise. Malachite nodded.
I admit I am surprised that you asked.
She was my teacher, my mentor, and my friend for most of my life, before I merged with the Swarm. Regardless of what you may think of me, I care about her deeply.
She will be well. She's regained consciousness once or twice today, though briefly. Her recovery is going quite well, and she should be back on her hooves in a few days.
Do you know what caused it? I saw the images, but there's no indication of what the tide did to her.
A very powerful psychic attack. She could have better fended it off, but she had exhausted almost all of her power in attacking the thing in the first place. Defending her mind took the remains of her energy.
I see. Thank you.
You are welcome. When she recovers, I shall tell her you are here. Perhaps she would like to send a message to you.
Thank you, Princess. I would like that. We have much to discuss.
Luna looked at him for a while longer, her expression unreadable. Then she nodded, turned, and looked at Maggie.
It was a pleasure to see you again, Maggie Henson. Take care of yourself.
Maggie nodded, catching the undertone of Luna's statement. Be cautious around him, she was saying.
I intend to, Princess.
How do we know we can trust you?
Because I have no reason to lie.
Maggie Henson, standing in the room behind him, snorted derisively, which he ignored. Human technology was simply fascinating. The elderly male on the screen scowled at him, and Malachite was awed to think that this person was sitting hundreds of miles away, looking at a similar image of his own face. Scrying spells had done things like this back in the day, but they required a fairly skilled unicorn to pull it off, and it wasn't something done casually.
Pardon me, Malachite, but so far your actions haven't exactly inspired confidence.
Fair enough. But it's my own self-interest that I help you.
What do you mean?
Because I don't dare return to Equestria. At least, not at this time. Here on Earth, I can match or even defeat the princesses. I designed my body with that in mind. As long as they can't draw directly on the magic of Equestria, I can stave them off. However, on equestrian soil, I wouldn't stand a chance. And simply, I don't trust them not to immediately impersonate me. Or perhaps execute me.
The princesses don't seem like the type to summarily execute ponies.
You don't understand how badly Celestia hates face sprites. As long as I am bound to these things, I don't have much of a choice but to stay on Earth. And for that, I need to help you destroy the Black Tide. Surely you can see that my own vested interests make this a mutually beneficial arrangement?
Perhaps. Or maybe you intend to somehow take the tide over and use it to feed your lust for power.
Malachite stared at the screen for a moment, then barked out a quick laugh.
No, believe me. This body is all I ever really wanted. I won't get sick, I won't age, and I'll never die. Provided I am somewhat careful to avoid injury. In return, all that I ask is that your world grants me both asylum and access to the Ascent Project whenever I feel the need to enhance, repair, or rejuvenate my physical form.
The human stared at him through the video screen, and Malachite waited patiently. Finally, Robert Thompson rubbed the side of his head and spoke.
Fine. I'll take this to the committee, and we'll have our answer to you in a day or two. What is it you're planning on doing?
It should be fairly obvious. I'm going to simply possess the thing and turn its own nanomachines against it, making it devour itself from the inside, turning it into, oh, let's say a rock. Do you have a preferred type of mineral? If not, I'm fairly partial to malachite.
He grinned at the human, who stared back at him with frank disbelief.
And you're sure this is going to work?
No, but I truly hope it will. If nothing else, well, if I do my best to save this world, then perhaps Celestia will accept me back in Equestria when all this is done.
All right. You'll have our decision soon. In the meantime, you can consider yourself under Maggie's jurisdiction. She'll keep you fed, safe, and cared for. And you'll do what she says in the meantime.
Malachite bridled a bit at that, and something of his irritation must have shown on his face, because the human frowned.
That is non-negotiable, Malachite. You'll have to earn our trust if you want us to trust you. Oh, and it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. If you possess any human or ponies with those sprites of yours, the deal is off, and we'll do everything we can to help the equestrians get you into custody. Is that understood?
Malachite calmed himself with an effort of will.
It's understood. Yes. I'll behave myself.
Good. Oh, and stay out of our computer systems from now on. Maggie,
Yes, sir.
do what you think is best with him. You have my full confidence and support.
Thank you, sir.
The screen went dark. Malachite stood up.
Well, that went well, I think. I believe I'll go outside for a while and give my wings a stretch.
No.
Malachite turned to frown at her.
I assure you, I'm not planning on.
I'm not going to have you flying around where anyone with a camera could spot you, and I'm also not letting you out of my sight. You'll stay indoors for now until I get word that you can be trusted outside. In fact, you should stay right here in this room until I say otherwise. Hit the intercom if you need anything, and we'll have it brought to you.
Malachite was unhappy with that, but he reminded himself that it would just be for a short while. Soon, he'd be free, as well as immortal.
Very well.
There will be guards at there will be guards at the door.
Maggie walked through said doors, then she turned back to him, looking him in the eye.
One last thing. Erin will be back in the compound tomorrow. You are not to approach her or attempt to contact her. In fact, we're going to do everything we can to make sure she never even has to see you. If you do try to approach her, I'm going to assume you have hostile intent, and I'm going to do everything I can to end you. I will not let you near that girl. Do you understand me?
The completely even way that she delivered that threat, without obvious anger, but with more than a hint of steel, made Malachite blink. He didn't doubt that Maggie Henson would do exactly as she promised, though he didn't know of any way for the humans to destroy his Fey form. There was much that he didn't know about their technology. Perhaps they had a way.
I understand. I will do as you say.
She watched as Luna gently closed the door, then turned to walk as quietly as possible into her room, her eyes focused on the bed in the corner. As she approached, she obviously noticed the bed was empty. Celestia called from her cushions on the floor. "Over here, Luna."
Celestia, you're awake! How are you feeling?
"Feeble, old, and foolish, but whole and otherwise well. I feel about as weak as a newborn, though."
Ah, well, that will pass, especially now that you're awake.
Luna settled herself down on the cushions nearby, smiling warmly at her.
It's good to have you back, sister. I missed you.
"It's good to be back, even though I'll be somewhat sad to end my first actual vacation in 1,500 years." She levitated her teacup up to her mouth and took a sip, grimacing at the taste.
Do you not like your tea?
Not particularly. It's a restorative brew of zebra origins. I find it's a wonderful way to regain strength and focus, though. I don't use it very often. It smells divine, but tastes rather like a camel's backside.
I'm surprised you know what that tastes like, sister.
I've experienced many strange things over the centuries. Luna's eyes widened in shock, and Celestia started laughing. I'm joking, of course.
Of course, sister. I have some disturbing news.
Oh, dear. Celestia placed her teacup down on the floor next to her. It seemed there was never any time to rest. Nothing too serious, I hope.
There's no easy way to put this. Malachite is back in the human world.
Celestia felt a chill. She knew what face sprites were capable of, and the humans didn't even have any magic to stop them. He could very well run rampant until she managed to corner him, and with his ability to control human machinery, this could be very bad indeed.
There's more. He has used the device that transformed Aaron into a pony, and has somehow crafted himself a new body. Essentially, he has made himself into a creature resembling an alicorn.
Now that was a surprise. She would have expected him to go to ground, hiding as far away as he could. Interesting.
I went to Earth to try and bring him back, but the confrontation did not go as well as I expected.
What happened? Luna briefly explained, describing the confrontation and its outcome. Celestia frowned, considering. Do you think he really would have possessed the humans if pressed?
Most likely, yes. I believe I could have brought him down, but the damage would have been severe, and it would have been an international debacle if we'd fought there. Not to mention, if we destroyed the facility, we might have removed humanity's only hope to escape the Earth. It was a foolish thing for me to do, and I opted not to compound the error by escalating to violence.
That was the right decision. Did he say why he was there in the first place?
Not to me, but I heard from the humans that he had some plan to stop the tide.
Really? Did the humans mention what his plans were?
No. They had no idea that I talked to them. They had no idea when I talked to them. However, he was aware of your defeat, so I can't imagine that he would assault it directly. I imagine he will use the power of the face sprite to possess and dominate it.
I don't think that will work.
Oh?
I simply can't see a face sprite dominating something so vast. But Malachite really was the expert on those creatures. If he believes it can be done, then maybe it can. There was a lull in the conversation while Celestia considered what Luna had told her. Luna broke the silence after a minute.
He asked how you were. He was concerned for your well-being.
Celestia frowned. I would like to believe he really does care, but I can't afford to assume the pony I once knew is still in there. Not anymore. Not after this much time. I'll have to be wary of him.
That seems wise, sister.
Well, enough of dusty old Malachite. Tell me, any other news since I've been incapacitated? Luna smiled, and started talking. First about affairs of state, migrating slowly to life in general. In the end, the royal sisters ended up enjoying the rare chance to simply talk to one another, simply being in one another's company. To Celestia, that was far more restorative than the terrible tea, which she dumped out at the very first chance she got. The car stopped in the parking lot, and Aaron smiled with relief. They were finally here. It seemed to take forever, but they were here. One of the agents, a blond, balding man in his 40s named Brian, opened the door for her. Aaron gratefully stepped out of the back of the limo, stretching each leg in turn before rising up on her hoof tips to stretch all 4 legs at once. Her leg muscles were a little twitchy, and she definitely felt a need to walk around a little. The last few days of travel had left her restless and anxious. The agents walked her into a reception area, where Aaron was beyond pleased to see Maggie waiting for her by the front desk, a big smile on her face.
Maggie!
She ran up and stood on her hind legs to hug her around the waist with her forelimbs.
I've missed you.
Aaron! Oh, it's good to see you. You look like a mess. Haven't you been brushing your mane?
No, I've been going from plane to plane for the last few days. I haven't even had a chance to shower or anything.
Yes, I can tell.
Oh, sorry. Was it really that bad?
Just a little, well, horse sweaty, I guess.
You get used to it. Anyway, she's all yours. I have to check in with my superiors.
Aaron and Maggie both thanked him, and Aaron waved as he and the other agents walked off into the administrative wing of the facility. Maggie turned and led Aaron back into into the more restricted scientific area.
I believe the first order of business is to get you back to your rooms. You'll need a shower, and you need to run a brush through that rat's nest of a mane.
I'd appreciate that. How is Celestia? Is there any news?
Oh, you hadn't heard? Well, according to Luna, she's going to awake. She's awake and will recover fully given time.
Aaron breathed a sigh of relief.
Oh, you have no idea how glad I am to hear you say that. Celestia, well, she is Equestria in a way. I can't imagine what they'd do without her.
Yes. Your little friend Twilight Sparkle said pretty much the same thing.
Aaron flinched at her friend's name, which Maggie noticed.
She came to apologize later that day, you know. She felt horrible about what she'd done.
She wasn't really wrong, though. If humans hadn't come to Equestria, Celestia would have never been hurt. Ow!
Maggie slapped her lightly on the back of the head. Then the older woman grimaced and wiped her hand on her coat, causing Aaron to blush again over the state of her mane.
Celestia's a big mare. Celestia's a big girl. She can take care of herself. You need to worry about you. And you need your friends.
You think they want me back?
Well, you can ask them yourself when you see them. In fact, I think it would be a good idea for you to stay in Equestria for a while. You should go there as soon as you get out of the shower.
Huh? But I thought we were turning me back into a human.
I'll explain in a little while. For now, why don't you head in and freshen up? Your friends will be a lot more likely to take you back if you don't smell like 4-day-old sweat.
Fine, fine.
Aaron laughed to hide her concern. Maggie was obviously avoiding telling her something pretty important, but she trusted the older woman. In short order, they reached Aaron's room. She was surprised to see the guards outside her door, but Maggie refused to elaborate. She was even more surprised when Maggie insisted on coming in and waiting while she showered. Something was definitely up. A month and a half as a pony had eliminated pretty much any sense of modesty she might have had about showering in front of the other woman. So she jumped in as soon as she had the water at an acceptable temperature, grabbing the long-handled brush in her teeth and pumping a specialized shampoo all over herself, both mane and coat. A fairly short time later, she emerged from the shower dripping wet, but feeling clean for the first time in days. Maggie helped her towel off and comb her mane and tail, still staying mum on what was going on. Once she was dried off, she had her sit down on her rump on the floor, while Maggie herself sat at the edge of Aaron's bed. Maggie cleared her throat, obviously trying to figure out how to say what she was going to say. Finally, she shook her head and just stated it bluntly.
Aaron, Malachite is back. He's here on Earth. In fact, he's in this facility, though he's under guard at the moment.
Aaron's world grayed out briefly while she swayed on her front hooves. She understood now why Maggie had her sit down.
He's here? Why?
He's not after you. With wings.
Did Cinder die for anybody else, or was it just me?
She died for me too.
Yeah,
She
Am I
died.
still alive?
Yes,
Oh,
you are alive now.
you're back.
Sorry.
Take it one more
Should I
time.
repeat that?
Yeah, take it one more time.
He's not after you. He came here to get away from the princesses, and, well, because of the Ascent project, he built himself a new body, a big unicorn with wings.
Aaron shook her head. None of that had really registered.
What?
Maggie repeated it.
He made himself an alicorn body?
Aaron repeated it slowly, absorbing the concept. That was both terrifying and comforting. Terrifying because now he was much more powerful, and comforting because, well, if he had a body of his own, he wouldn't come after her, right?
Sadly, when his new body got out of the vat, he essentially fried all of the equipment in there, including the mainframe. Herman and his team are coming back next. Coming back next week, and they'll start putting things back together. But for now, well, you're stuck as a pony. And we're not going to stick you in the vat yourself until Malachite is far, far away from here. I don't trust him, especially not where you're involved.
Oh,
Then a thought occurred to her, and she looked up at Maggie with alarmed.
Maggie, the data for my body, my human one. I mean, was that on the mainframe?
Yes?
Maggie looked confused. Then a look of understanding crossed her face.
Ah, don't worry, Erin. We have backups. One on-site backup of all of our data, and 3 off-site. Trust me, once we got down to harmonics being humanity's last chance, we stopped taking any risks with the data. It's safe.
Oh, good. And he's the reason you want me to go to Equestria?
Yes. I don't think he's going to try anything, even if you stay on Earth. But I know he's still afraid of the princesses. So it would be a good idea for you to stay in Canterlot for now. Maybe even Ponyville.
Good idea. Can we go, like, right now? I was gonna grab something to eat, but I'd rather eat in Canterlot now.
Yes. Let's get going.
She walked with Aaron all the way to the gateway, the 2 guards falling in behind them as they walked. Even with the guards, though, Aaron was slightly on edge, glancing over her shoulder from time to time and staring down branching hallways. Quickly enough, they reached the gateway. Before she walked through, Maggie handed her a slip of paper.
That will get you back on the internet once you get your tablet back. They didn't want you online because they were afraid of what you'd show the ponies, but, well, what's the worst that could happen?
Maggie, never say anything like that, especially so close to Equestria. I swear, there's something in the magic there that turns every statement like that completely ironic.
Maggie blinked in surprise and chuckled uncomfortably.
Well, I got it.
They hugged again, briefly, and Erin trotted into the Canterlot Gardens, the slip of paper tucked into a string purse around her neck. The Canterlot guards eyed her with surprise, but smiled and welcomed her back as she trotted through the gateway. She smiled and waved back, recognizing at least one of them as a guard that had been assigned to protect her door from marauding council members. She trotted quickly through the castle, trying to decide if she should look for her friends or just go to her rooms. Even though she was fairly sure that Maggie was right and that Twilight felt bad about what she'd done, it had still hurt. It didn't help that she knew what Twilight had said was basically true. Her arrival had disrupted life in Equestria to an incredible degree. The only thing that alleviated the guilt at all was knowing that, even if she hadn't come here, humans would have arrived anyway, and that her arrival had at least given both the humans and the ponies enough information to allow peaceful first contact. In the end, though, she knew she couldn't just leave things as they were. She wasn't sure where her friends were, but she could guess. They were most likely in their shared apartments, probably eating a meal together. Since she was pretty hungry, that was probably a great place to start. It didn't take long to get there. She opened the door and walked inside, finding her friends in the midst of an apparently deadly serious discussion. All of them were lined up with their backs to the door, staring at her tablet, which was propped up on the table.
It don't make no sense, Pinkie Pie. Why in tarnation would a rabbit even wear a dress? Besides, rabbits can't talk. Every pony knows that.
It's just for fun, AJ.
Erin got the impression that this conversation had been going for a while.
The humans made up these funny animal stories, drew them up, and made them do silly things.
That's crazy. If they're drawings, how do they move and stuff?
They show oodles and oodles of them, one right after another. It only looks like they're moving.
Meh. Sounds like it would be easier just figuring out how to teach a rabbit to talk.
I'm sorry, but the name Bugs is simply revolting.
Bugs are nice.
Bugs are icky. Fluttershy sank behind the table rather than disagree with her friend. Applejack put in, staring with a fascination at the tablet set up on the table.
I thought Aaron said that guns were powerful, dangerous, but that duck keeps getting it blown up in his face, and nothing really happens to him. His beak got blown off that one time. That was hilarious.
Fluttershy eeped and hid even more behind the table.
You have to wonder why all the talking animals are so smart and all the humans are so dumb.
We like to root for the little guy, and we have a little bit of an inferiority complex sometimes.
Her friends all turned to gape at her, the tablet completely forgotten for the moment. The next thing Erin knew, she was being tackled by a pink blur.
Sunflower! You made it back! I'm so happy!
Hey, Pinky, breathing would be nice, and it's Aaron, remember?
Oh, yeah. But I decided I like Sunflower better. It's more you.
Pinkie relented and got up, allowing her other friends to come up and hug her, telling her how glad they were to see her back and safe. Everyone, except for Twilight, who hung back, looking anxious and guilty. Every pony seemed to sense the mood, moving back and allowing Erin to approach Twilight, who didn't meet her eyes.
Twilight?
She'd worked out what she wanted to say to her friend over the last several days of flying halfway around the world, but that all fell away as Twilight looked up, tears welling in her eyes.
Aaron, I'm sorry I said those things. I was upset. I was upset and I was angry that Celestia got hurt, and I took it out on you. You didn't deserve it. And I'm so sorry.
Erin hugged her friend, who by this point was crying.
Oh, Twilight, you've forgiven me for doing much worse things than that. Of course I forgive you.
A few seconds later, she was in the center of yet another mass pony hug. Erin realized that she'd been the recipient of more group hugs as a pony than she'd ever had as a human. The thought made her laugh a little. The hug eventually broke up, and Erin spent some time just talking with her friends and catching up. She called down to the kitchens and was finally able to eat, though it felt a little awkward being the only one in the room with food. Pinky soon remedied that situation by stealing her dessert. Finally, before the night was over, Erin managed to pry her tablet back from Pinky's hooves, in spite of her pink friend's protests. Pulling out the authentication information that Maggie had given her, she spent the rest of the night showing her pony friends some of the more interesting places on the internet. Fluttershy was in heaven, due to the large number of adorable cat pictures that Erin couldn't help but save. Rainbow Dash was riveted by some videos of stunt flyers. Rarity enjoyed looking at human fashion shows and seemed to alternate between finding the fashions ridiculous or inspired. Apparently, she had several new ideas just by watching a single runway show. All of the ponies were glued to the screen when Erin pulled up some videos of horses, zebras, and other hoofed animals, though she was very careful not to pull up anything that would be violent or disturbing. The ponies chattered animatedly about the difference between the animals of Earth and the ones they knew in Equestria. Finally, the night wrapped up with Erin promising to show her friends more interesting things with her tablet, but opting to keep it for herself, now that it was connected to the internet. She wasn't sure she trusted Pinkie Pie on the net without supervision. Yawning, she got to her hooves and walked to the door, exchanging good nights with her friends. She turned to close the door and was surprised to see Twilight there, looking pensive.
So, are we okay, Erin?
Erin smiled and hugged her friend. The things said could never be unsaid. That was true. But what is important is what comes from the heart, and not something said rashly in the heat of anger.
We were always okay, Twilight. Sleep well, okay?
You too, Erin.
With that, Erin finally began the walk back to her room in the castle, feeling more than ready for a nice long sleep.
Well, we're done.
I trust the pink one without any supervision.
I don't.
Pornhub
I didn't
will
even
get a
trust
whole
me
new,
without supervision, let alone Pinkie Pie.
Yeah, right?
Pornhub will get a whole new section.
There's already a
You're
section.
doomed.
Can
Well,
confirm.
But apparently in this world, My Little Pony never existed. Otherwise, that
Yeah,
that
that's true.
that would be a really amusing concept, like showing Equestria like what the humans created for My Little Pony.
So, yeah.
What's Smile HD?
Oh, God.
And no cupcakes. Ooh, cupcakes! That sounds fun. No, it's not at all.
Yes, see, it started off by this with there was once this man named Andrew WK, and he made some music. And then later on, there was a show that people liked.
I don't think. Wait, what? Andrew WK. Oh, okay.
So
That.
that's the artist that was behind the background music that was picked for that.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking
I
about the
saw
entirety
that.
of MLP, and I'm going like, what the fuck does Andrew WK have anything to do
No,
with?
I'm doing a reference to that particular video. You know,
Yeah.
he was a brony, at least in the early years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he even did a BronyCon panel for like one of the first BronyCons.
It took me a good 30 seconds to see what was wrong with that lichen.
Yep.
I'm glad you got it in the end.
This is what happens when some people just take off images and make bootleg merch.
Whoops.
This is what
think that was
happens
made
at
in, like-
PonyCons, everyone.
No, this was like made in Indonesia or like
Yeah, it was in Indonesia.
it's a knockoff merch thing that they attempted.
I've,
You know how
I've,
sometimes-
I've seen it at PonyCons though.
Oh, really? Oh,
Because
That means they
people
managed to
want
get
to have the stupid broken
I would
things.
want that.
I want stupid.
Exactly. That's why they have it at PonyCons.
BabsCon had shared a thing a while back that showed one of their mascots on a plastic cup with like Twilight and Pinky and stuff that was being sold online.
yeah,
Cease
it's still there. You
and
can still buy it
desist.
too.
The mascot that looks like mine. That's the one.
But yeah,
I
that
guess it doesn't
that
count.
Pinkie Pie, it's glorious in many
A
ways.
work of art.
Mm.
Dear God.
So, how many more
I gotta
chapters
find
are there to this fic, by the way?
Hold on one second.
Aren't there 30?
I feel like we've been doing this fic
Hold
for
on
a
a second.
year.
Hold on a second.
We've
We're
been
holding. We're discussing while holding.
doing it a long
There are
while.
69 chapters.
There are 31. We just finished chapter 12. All remaining chapters are somewhere between 7,500 and 10,000 words. So we're only doing one at a time.
Wow.
I mean, unless you want to do like a 60 or 70 page reading next.
Day-long live stream.
All right, who's ready to stay up till 4 a.m.?
Oh,
I gotta
did
say
we-
though, like I really was not a fan of human crossover fics, but this one is really good.
Yeah, this is considered one of the very few that is universally good. This and Through the Wells of Pirate.
And apparently we just skipped over a side story looking at the chapter list.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a origin story of Malachite, but it's all narration, and it's the exact same amount of words as this chapter we just did. So like, yeah, it'd be just nothing but force.
How many was this? Was this like 6,000, 7,000?
Yep, about 7,000 words.
7.5.
So it'd
It's
be
a little bit under that. It's about 6,000 ish words, but still, that's a lot just for one narrator.
That'd be like about 45 minutes for me to read.
Yeah, that
Edited.
sounds read that on your own if you want.
Yeah, yes. There's a little side chapter called "Death Is Not for Me." If you go to if you follow the link that's on the top of the documents you see here, you can check that out yourself. It's basically just a little a narration of the early years of Malachite.
I mean, if you do feel like reading it, and if you do feel like recording it and whatnot, feel free to send it to me, and one day when we're lazy, I'll play it on stream.
Noted.
Yeah, and
I mean, I posted a relevant GIF in the chat though.
Yeah, I laughed.
push it out to the
I lulled.
here and there. It's now in the YouTube and Twitch chats. And if we ever upload these, we'll have to be making sure to be uploading the story link.
Yeah, I need to get on that. I've just been really wanting something to put on either side of the actual like deal, and like each episode just. I mean, I'll upload it basically in the raw, but I wanted to put up a picture on either side of the reading and have like a list of the characters throughout the whole reading put up on there.
Yeah. Lycan, why does that make me think of Smooze? It just goes round and round. You need to show this on stream.
Nobody can stop the smooth.
Oh god.
It's so stupid.
Hey, look, it's what my brain cells were doing last weekend.
It's so hypnotizing.
I know. If only it did loop in a nice way.
I mean, I guess I can show this on stream. Here.
Drag.
Well, no, just open it up and then show the reading deal. But yes, so, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Yeah, so we're getting done a little bit early tonight, but meh. That gives me
we are.
More time for sleep.
That gives me more time to work on my other 4 projects.
Wait, sleep? What's that?
Who the hell
Yeah,
sleeps
what's-
with you? God damn it, we all cut ourselves off at the same time. I hate this.
I think I need a definition of
that?
sleep.
I don't know. But anyways, we'll give so yes, we'll move on to shout outs. Oh, Cinder left.
Well,
Shoot.
I can do Cinder's shout out.
Okay.
Cinder's shout out is to Dead Tree, which you should go listen to. Where you can find it at Shotgun Angel Productions. Just type in Shotgun Angel Productions, Dead Tree, into YouTube, and you'll find it. Or if you're really nice, just ask one of us and we'll just send you a link.
Yes. I mean, you don't even have to be all that nice. You could just be like, hey, bitch, send me a link to that dead tree thing. And I'll be like, okay, block. I mean, I would gladly shill my stuff or people that I care about stuff to angry people, but I won't talk to them.
True. Also, Cinder's working on a new thing too, which I don't know if we can announce yet, but she's working on a new audiobook thing, which will be coming out with more frequency than Dead Tree is. So, beat to dubs. That's the thing that'll happen soon.
I'm sorry.
Yay.
Alrighty. And next on to Ocean Breeze.
I don't know. I thank alcohol for being my friend the past couple days.
Word.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Because you made me do terrible things to my family.
dun dun dun.
Don't
Again?
think
Hug
is
them.
my grocery store. My grocery store ran out of my alcohol.
Oh,
Oh
dear.
no.
Grocery store.
That's not
illegal
good.
in some countries.
It's okay though because Ocean Breeze just stepped on a grape. It just gave a little wine.
I prefer the cranberry juice, thanks.
Alrighty. Like and shout out.
Oh, my shout out is to the Pinkie Pie backpack. I actually had that once, but the airline lost my luggage, so I tried to sue them. I lost my case.
Lycan,
Yes?
go die in a fire.
It cost me a lot of baggage, but I must carry on.
Oh,
And that's why you fly Southwest, every pony.
Amen.
Was that pun just plain bad?
And speaking of being plain, yes, but we have Forrest Payne.
I'm a window.
I didn't know Max Payne had another daughter.
Hmm.
You're not a window. We can clearly see through you.
I hate you. Shout out to Ponyfest and Lycan for inviting me on Ponyfest.
You're welcome.
It was fun. We'll go with that. It was fun.
Fun? Fun?
Fun?
Fun? Fun?
Fun.
No.
And I'll see
There
if
was
I can
one
do
of those.
another online concert sometime soon. I got a few things that I'm looking at, so we'll see what happens.
Hopefully
tuned.
not too fucking soon because I have way too much shit. I really don't
Oh,
want
so you can't do the one that's tomorrow?
God damn it!
Econ.
Well, time to just pull the plug on everything so I can start setting it up again.
No, don't pull the plug. That's how you break Channel 4.
I mean, you barely helped with setup for the first time, so I'll just come over and set it up while you aren't looking.
I set up all my shit.
Yeah.
I just have all my shit, like, set up already, and it doesn't change for every show.
True.
Oh, by the way, we love that touch where you got out your lighters and candles and stuff and, like, lit them in the background. That was great.
Yeah,
It
somebody
was-
left a comment that was like, your tech team is awesome and funny.
Wait,
We
Winchester
try to
can't be funny.
No, it was all tick.
You're right.
And I was sitting here laughing because I was like, overkill. But it was so cool.
And I was sitting here going, don't forget to add in the reverb, for God's sake, I'm going to die.
Hey, there's no kill like overkill.
There's no.
I thought we were doing
kill like
shout-outs.
overkill. We are.
Why use a
We're-
22 when you can use a 50 cal?
We are, but we got
We
off
confused
track.
shoutouts with shootouts.
So alrighty, because he's wanting us to get back to shoutouts, I guess we'll do double R.
Shout out to Cupcakes for inspiring killer bootleg merch and for the awesome deal for the Batman Arkham games that I've been taking advantage of, which has entertained me for the last week.
Alrighty. And next shoutout goes to Skyrace, who may have already died.
Okay, no. Shout outs to all the mothers who bought that backpack thinking it was a good idea as a present for their child. And
I
shout out
I can't find anywhere I can buy it though, man.
and shout out to all the bronies who saw that backpack and kept silent about it.
And then bought it.
Also, shout out to Cinder, Forest Rain, Lycan, Ocean Breeze for all joining us today, and shout outs to Winchester, Double R Forest, and CMC.
Wait, who am I?
Well, aren't you just a sweet
Sorry,
boy?
you're right. Boop.
Good.
All right. And last but not least, on to SBA.
Who?
Everything's on fire.
That's different.
Yeah.
Gollum, I'm telling you, your precious is not here.
We haven't had SBA show up in a long while. He shows up in some of the games. He's fun. He likes to burn things. But, shout-outs. Fires, explosions, LOE, Roan, venison jerky, you all know my shtick. And shout-outs to Commander, because Commander's awesome. Just
Commander,
because.
something's awesome.
Even if we haven't been able to hang out as much, because life has been life.
Truth. So, yes. Thank you to every single person that has shown up here today. And to every single person that will show up in the future.
That is not gay, Lycan. That is R63. There's a difference.
Anyways, everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Help, I'm being held hostage.
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. Excuse me. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye bye.